Question of the Week from the Naked Scientists.
Hello and welcome to Question of the Week. I'm James Titko. This time we're answering a question from listener Bhavesh, voiced up by a member of our team.
How do guided missiles reach their targets?
Thanks, Bhavesh. There are many different types of guided weapon geared towards hitting different kinds of targets. We'll look at a couple of them today. Two of the big considerations for the missile of choice is the range that you need to fly to hit a target and whether it's moving. Let's start with a large stationary target, a military base say. Because it's not moving, you generally don't worry about having sensors to track the target embedded in the missile. Instead, the missile might use an inertial navigation system. Here to explain is Dr. David Galvao-Wall, head of the Air Platforms and Weapons Group at Cranfield University.
So you provide the missile with a coordinate in space where it needs to fly prior to the launch of the system, and it will navigate itself in that direction. You might program the missile with GPS coordinates and use a GPS chip to provide positional information, or you might use accelerometers and gyroscopes, which are sensors on board the missile, to determine where in the flight it is. So there are lots of classes of both accelerometers and gyroscopes. The simplest forms are mechanical systems that are operated using some kind of mass inside them that moves on the basis of the motion of the vehicle. And we can use various instrumentation around those masses to detect what the relative motion between the mass and the overall system is. And this allows us to determine how it's rotating or how it's moving in a linear fashion.
Inertial navigation systems therefore work on the same principle as the human vestibular system. This is the anatomy located in our inner ear that's responsible for our balance and spatial orientation. If you were sitting blindfolded in a car, it's what allows you to feel which way the vehicle is turning or whether you're speeding up or slowing down. Modern inertial navigation systems allow some missiles to travel hundreds of kilometers to reach targets just a few meters across. This is all with pre-programmed instructions, making it harder for the target to know what's coming. As mentioned, though, this works best for a target that isn't moving.
If we're looking at attacking a moving target, we have to track the motion of that target relative to the missile as it's travelling. There's a couple of ways you might do that. You can either use something called remote guidance, where you have an off-missile sensor which detects the direction to the target and the direction to the missile simultaneously, and then calculate steering instructions, so left, right, up and down, to try and align those two bearings. If you can align those two bearings and the missile's flying towards the target, it'll be on an intercept trajectory. So that's one way you can do it. The other is something called homing guidance, where you embed target tracking sensors in the nose of the missile and they look for the target themselves. Generally, this is achieved with infrared or radar sensors, and you're looking for radiation that's transmitted to the target and then reflected back, or radiation that's emitted directly from the target to determine where it is.
The catch is, unlike with navigational guidance, our target might now be able to detect the light waves shone in its direction by the sensors.
So lots of targets have various electronic and physical countermeasures. We also have things like stealth aircraft that are designed to either absorb radiation or to deflect it off in various random directions. Target systems that have countermeasures also often have sensors that will allow them to detect whether they're being targeted by various systems. So for example, you may have a laser warning receiver or a radar warning receiver that detects those emissions. If it's an aircraft, for example, you'll be using radar anyway. You're likely to be able to detect radio waves that are incoming, as well as the ones that you're transmitting to look out for reflections.
So Bhavesh, guided missiles find their targets using different methods. Some are pre-programmed to hit a certain spot and, using modern navigational guidance systems, require no further instructions to travel hundreds of miles. Or a range of sensors embedded within the missile or outside it could be deployed to guide a missile towards a moving target. But this gives the target the potential opportunity to detect the light waves shone in its direction. There are, of course, other ways modern missiles reach a target, and they often use complementary systems to mitigate the weaknesses of certain methods. But many thanks to Dr. David Galvao-Wall, head of the Air Platforms and Weapons Group at Cranfield University, for helping walk us through some of the basics. Next time on Question of the Week.
Ian Madley from Stockport here. Urban heat domes caused by density of heat sources are well known. Almost all of this heat is generated from fossil fuels. As we move to heat pumps, particularly air source units, which draw heat from the ambient air, my question is, will this impact the heat dome effect? Look forward to hearing about it.
Thanks, Ian. We look forward to that one. If you have any questions of your own, why not send them in to chris@thenakedscientists.com and you could feature in a future programme. Don't forget as well to leave your thoughts to today's and all our other questions over on nakedscientists.com/forum. Until next time though, from me, James Titko, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Question of the Week is part of the Naked Scientists podcast. Look us up online at nakedscientists.com.